Welcome back to the channel, guys. If you enjoy the content today, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on post notifications. We're going to be talking about the current market conditions and gaining some perspective from some industry leaders. So let's just jump right in here. CoinGecko, as you will notice, down pretty bad. Everything pretty much across the board is down in the red here, with the exception of Doge, which has had a nice pump off the back of Elon Musk's tweets. So maybe he's come back to meddle once again, maybe a sign of things to come down the line here. But generally, most things are down. And so Bitcoin has taken a tumble yet again, and the rest of the altcoin market goes with it. Pretty standard stuff. So let's gain a bit of perspective here, as everything seems very bloody at this moment in time, and sentiment on Twitter specifically is very, very low. So this is Raoul's first Twitter thread since he's returned from a conference in Vegas. So wow, everyone's got super bearish on everything in digital assets right now. I think it's due to the disposable income being crimped by inflation. The marginal retail buyer is more, well, marginal. So he goes on, year-on-year rates of change of Fed balance sheet is also a factor, but in past cycles, risk on continued in the main. But a lot right now is positioned squaring and rebalancing after a good year of owning risk and tax selling too. But my view is that the game hasn't changed. Many people are scared by past cycles, where in this point, the halving produced the top. But past damages your psyche and can also cause you to be excessively cautious in what appears to be an elongated cycle or change of structure. But we haven't seen a blow off top with record participation. We have seen speculation in NFTs, mainly from people who will have huge ETH profits, and funds will be allocating fresh P&L and new mandates in Q1. And if that drives prices sharply higher, it will bring record new wallets, etc. And long-term holders will begin to put coins on exchanges to top slice. Remember, digital assets overall have gone nowhere since May, unless you weren't lucky to nail a pump. But the rally from July lows has seen most digital assets well below their all-time highs. But meaningful institutional adoption is underway, along with exponential new use cases, plus a rising realization of the importance of Web3 by artists, producers, musicians, and so on and so forth. Some sort of tipping point has to be reached, and I think it accelerates later this month and well into next year, when it might get very frothy. But that is not now. Sit tight, add on dips, and if we see another sharp rise in the entire space, reduce your more speculative holdings and rotate to higher quality. Also, don't follow the pump. By the time you get in, it's too late. Be diversified in the small stuff. He then names the layer ones as the safest bets right now, such as Bitcoin, ETH, Luna, etc. And NFTs are also speculative, but from what's happening and the innovation going on, also worth grabbing some of those too. Most of all, don't get stressed by short-term moves in the market, and if you are getting stressed, you are overexposed. And he says we all have a lot right on this, but you can't weep if we're down 50% and we do chop for a whole year. So it's kind of playing devil's advocate here. We could get mega pumps in Q1 from institutional flows of money, but also we could potentially go down and continue going down for a long period of time if we enter a bear market. So you need to be positioned across the board here and hedged with some stable coins is pretty much the takeaway message. And he closes out with the next shift being from retail-led to institutional-led buying. It's been building all year, but 2022 is the year I think the big herd arrives. However, I'm no guru, but good luck. So that's kind of Raoul's perspective on things, and he's obviously very eloquent in what he says. But then you have Remi, who also works at Global Macro Investor and Real Vision co-founder, and he kind of just gives things a bit more bluntly. And if you just think about who these guys know and who they influence, this makes a lot of sense. So he says, we're not in a bear market. A lot of institutional money is getting ready to be deployed. All the sellers are creating a great entry opportunity for them. Fundamentals are the same. Nothing has changed. We're not getting a Q4 rally, but so what? Q1 could be epic. So these guys clearly know that the big money is going to arrive if they're the kind of people they're advising. So he's just suggesting that this dip is going to be bought up by these people into Q1, and to always remember that the fundamentals have not changed. When the price goes up, everyone's so bullish on the industry at large, and we all talk about the positive fundamentals, but it seems as soon as price turns around, everyone forgets about fundamentals and we forget how this industry is going to revolutionize the world. So a bit of perspective needed, and I think if you do have that kind of sleepless night going on, etc., you need to reduce some of your exposure to crypto and move into some stable coins. There'll probably be some more pumps along the way, even if we do drop down further. We are seeing these kind of relief rallies, but they are being sold into right now. So this from Will on the FOMC, so the Fed's meeting, which is occurring today and tomorrow. So he says this: there is a known event here. Therefore, anyone who is bearish on Bitcoin or wanted to risk off leading up to the FOMC has been and will have already done so by then. Have to wonder how many sellers will be left and how much capital is going to be on the sidelines. So you may see this going around on Twitter, buy the news. In a sell the news event, you have the opposite effect. The event is front run by insiders first, and then it works way to the bottom of the information totem pole. By the time the event occurs, no one is there to buy, and everyone who bought in anticipation of the event is actually offside. So you may have seen this trending on Twitter, saying that the FOMC has a good chance to be a sell the rumor and buy the news event. So some people are saying that this is already priced in and potentially will actually see a bit of a relief rally from here due to the fact everyone who was short Bitcoin has already placed their bets, and any developments from the Fed meeting will now be a buy the news event. So looking at some of the order flow within the crypto industry right now, essentially you're seeing that the Bitfinex whales are starting to place their bids. You can see this kind of heat map down here, huge order blocks, just tons and tons of Bitcoin they're trying to buy up around the 45, 46K region. So this was tweeted out: Bitfinex laying down the bids, retail selling into the lows ahead of an FOMC meeting with funding negative across the board. Feels like we're going to get a buy the news event, another reiteration of that. Suzu then chimes in: every generation of bottom sellers have to learn for themselves that the only order flow that matters in crypto is Bitfinex. So Bitfinex is where the actual whales who nail the markets all the time trade. And there's an old adage here that you should copy trade the Bitfinex whales and counter trade the Bybit whales, the kind of left and right of the bell curve kind of traders there. So Bybit is where the apes are. Then in a Twitter thread here by Lark Davis, sentiment is so low, we're actually back to levels we saw in December of 2018. And if you weren't around then, this is when we dropped 50% in a few days after already being down 70% for Bitcoin. Why so much fear now? And he suggests this is due to the fact 50% of you guys have been here less than a year. So people haven't lived through major drawdowns, and thus they are getting very spooked by the markets right now. He then shows a load of higher lows here, suggesting that we're just putting in and printing higher lows in a macro bullish market. On-chain data still shows Bitcoin on exchanges at all-time lows, and that newer participants are selling their Bitcoin, and older participants, the whales, are actually still accumulating. Canada's ETF here adding 4,000 BTC in the month of December. So it's kind of the smart money versus the dumb money on display right now. And then we have this, just a bit more perspective. This was back in December of 2000. So internet may just be a passing fad as millions give up on it. So one of the major issues right now when you have a big drawdown is you get people leaving the industry, which is incredibly sad to see. I've had people DM me in the past when we were primarily in the May, June time. A lot of people exited the market and they said to me, I'm giving up, I can't do this anymore. But there's a lot more at stake than just your human emotions acting upon you in the moment. These are multi-year, multi-decade bets that we need to be making right now to get generational wealth, not just for yourself, but for your bloodline as well. So I think taking in perspective like this is very important in times like now. You need to remember there is a much bigger picture at stake. So onto some other items here. We have Trustswap's Earn Guild Launchpad event starting right now. You've got a few more hours to actually get involved with this one. Do make sure you press that start button and get involved. Even in downtimes, getting involved with these launchpads and holding them till we go bullish again is often very, very positive. Think back to the Opulus one, which is down here, did 15,000% when no one really wanted to be buying cryptocurrency. And also we have this Art Meta, another metaverse-based virtual reality world where you're going to see actual artwork displayed in this metaverse. Well, this one will be coming in the month of December, I believe, as well. So a few launchpads coming from Trustswap. Both look very interesting. One requiring your immediate attention, this one coming down the pipeline. Then in major NFT news here, this is absolutely epic. So Artifact, who have a load of epic collections, very highly artistic. I know this one was actually on sale on a Dutch auction over the last few weeks. We did cover it on the channel. Well, their studio, Artifact Studio, has been acquired by Nike to fuel the digital future. Feels like a dream. We started Artifact inspired by Nike 2 years ago, and today we merge forces to take the metaverse to a new frontier. So this acquisition is another step that accelerates Nike's digital transformation and allows us to serve athletes and creators at the intersection of sport, creativity, gaming, and culture. We're acquiring a very talented team of creators with an authentic brand and connected brand. Our plan is to invest in the Artifact brand, serve and grow their innovative and creative community, and extend Nike's digital footprint and capabilities. So this is absolutely epic. Not to be understated here, you have Nike moving into this industry with an acquisition or merger of Artifact Studio, which is highly regarded in the industry here. So I think this is a very solid move. You want to partner with people in the industry rather than the kind of cringe introductions we've seen recently from like Pepsi. When these big companies and big brands come into the industry and they don't understand the kind of culture behind it, it comes off a little bit cheesy. But I think Nike are going down the right path with this merger here. So very epic stuff, and this just shows you NFTs, metaverse, digital assets in general are going to be going a lot higher. Then this one came across my timeline today, EIP 1559 for Polygon. So this one wasn't super clear in their tweet what the heck was going on. It seemed like they were just implementing Ethereum's burn, but on the L2, which didn't make much sense. You dig into this one, yes, they are actually going to start burning Matic tokens. So they're not going to be huge burns due to the fact Matic has very low fees. But they did this kind of analysis here where you can see some of the Matic burn on a daily basis. The mean amount currently would be roughly 27,500 Matic burned a day. That's not really going to touch the sides in terms of making this deflationary, but this adds to the positive narrative around Matic. Another string to the bow, another use case, and another improvement to the token here. So although that's about 50,000 bucks right now, whereas we're seeing ETH getting burned at around 7,600 ETH a day, it's pretty much chalk and cheese, but it's really good to see the team here being innovative, looking to actually deploy things that have worked well on Ethereum and bring them to the Matic network. And it looks like one of the max days for transaction fees, if EIP 1559 was implemented here at that time, they would have burned 75,000 Matic tokens. So you can get a little bit of an idea that this will help to curb the inflation. And over time, once all 10 billion Matic are in supply, that number will come down over time as well. And they believe it will reduce the overall supply by roughly 0.27% per annum. So hats off here to the Matic team, continually pushing forward. This is one that I really think bounces hard if we can tick bullish once again. So there we have it, a roundup of the current comings and goings in the crypto industry, plus a bit of perspective from some thought leaders. For me personally, right now, I think you should have some stable coins on hand for any major dips that continue to occur, but sitting in your spot bags for the long run makes a lot of sense. Typically, you don't want to be forced to sell. You want to sell on your own terms. And so when you see the market tanking and that kind of emotion drives you to sell, that is panic selling, and oftentimes you will highly regret it, believe me. So stay hedged, enjoy the ride along the way. If you're overexposed, shave some off. But long term, we are going to go a lot higher with all of these markets. So stay tuned for the ride, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye.